Hey, welcome everybody to the latest edition of Leaders in Next, where we sit down with athletes redefining the game and chasing greatness one play at a time. Today's guest is Blake Frazier, number 77, which is an iconic number at Michigan, offensive lineman. After seeing no game action in his first year, he entered this season ready for more, and he's delivered. He stepped in for Evan Link, went down with an injury in Washington. Blake stepped in there and then made his first start against Michigan State and made the most of that opportunity. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Coach Moore said this about Blake, quote, "I'm really proud of him and the player that he has become. He's obviously gained weight. He came in here at like 255 and is now almost over 300 now. So having a guy like that ready to go was huge, and he played well." We're excited about to hear about your journey from Texas to Ann Arbor, and welcome to the podcast.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
You know, we start off with this overarching question. You know, what's the number one thing you'd want fans to know about you?
I love Michigan. Like, I mean, this school, this university, this fan base, the football team. It's been my life. Since I knew what football was. So, I think that's something that, I carry with a lot of pride. I take a lot of pride in being able to wear that wing helmet. And, I understand that when I step on that field, I'm not just representing myself, but, anybody that's worn the helmet and anybody that's supported people that have worn the helmet. So I think that's the biggest thing is, whatever it is that I can do to help this university, I'm going to.
Yeah, and it goes back a long way for you. What's your earliest Michigan memory?
Ooh, that's tough, honestly. I think it's probably, I posted a picture earlier this week, actually, on my Instagram story. It was me and one of my dad's old Michigan shirts out in front of the house I grew up in, Michigan flag flying in the front yard. We always put that out, Saturday morning with my dad. So yeah, I'd say that was probably, I was probably 4 or 5 in that picture.
Nice.
So yeah, I think that's probably the earliest memory I have.
For those of you that don't know this, and most Michigan fans know this by now, but Blake's father, Steve, played at Michigan. 97 was on the 97 national championship team. So some cool legacy there, and we'll maybe touch on that a little bit later. But so, like any big sporting event, we're not gonna dive right into the serious questions. Although our questions, I'm not sure, are all that serious at times. But we're gonna do a pregame warm up here, and right. Dan and I will alternate. But so you've been in Ann Arbor now a couple of years, and of course you probably came to Ann Arbor to games and things like that as certainly as a recruit. But what's your favorite place to eat in Ann Arbor?
Ooh, that's tough. I think it depends on the situation. If I'm just like at home, it's a Sunday chill day, I gotta go with Spots for sure. Mr. Spots is right. Yep. That's my go-to, like, lazy chill day food. If I got parents in town, they're paying, dinners on them, I'm going Chop House all day.
Nice.
But yeah, I'd say probably those two are just reliable.
Well, now that you guys might be making a little bit of money, do your parents sit there and say, when you go to Chop House, do they turn around and say, "Hey, you're picking this one up"?
I'm thankful that they do not, but no, they still cover dinner bills when they take me out.
That's cool. I do that with Dan too. So
it's
it never
a little
stops.
more even these days. Although
it never stops.
I got my fair share of free meals. Do you have roommates?
I do. Yeah.
Any pet peeves?
I got 3 of them. Any pet peeve? Honestly, no, like crazy pet peeves. I'm a big like social person though. I enjoy hanging out with people. Now I definitely have my times where I, social battery's out. I want to be alone. But my biggest pet peeve probably is when, you don't ever see your roommates, like not because you're busy, but just because they're never coming out of their room. I really don't like that. Take advantage of the living area, be around each other.
Yeah.
Doors open policy,
Yes, exactly.
Do you have any pregame rituals or like superstitions? You wear the same socks or anything, before the game?
I wouldn't say anything too crazy. I have before every game we do hydration and movement, which is basically just a big stretching routine with Coach Tress and the strength staff. I start that off every day with the same song. It's "Which One" by Drake. So I think that's kind of something that I do every time, but nothing too crazy besides that. Obviously the normal pregame, getting ready routine, but nothing too out of the ordinary.
Has that been the song since like high school?
No, that was really just a this year type of deal. And it wasn't like hey, I need a pregame, I need the same thing every week. It just kind of became like, okay, this was a good song that got me going this day. Let's try it again this week. And then just carried on.
Nice.
You remember, I'm surprised we've asked this question. We've never talked about our own pregame rituals. Dad, you remember when I thought it was good luck when I would do an egg beer?
Egg beer. Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah.
For our 21 plus audience, egg beer is, you crack a raw egg into a beer. And I did it once and we won like 8 straight games. And so then I was stuck doing it. And and no wonder I'm on Lipitor already, to catch up with you. So
yeah, my superstition is all last season.
Oh yeah.
And the season before that with it
goes back a while. It goes back to Jake Moody.
Goes back to Moody. I don't watch. I will sit down and look down when we are kicking a field goal or a point after.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think you've watched a kick. Moody was the kicker right after COVID, so yeah, 2021. Been 4 or 5 years.
I take some accountability for it working for those guys too. Moody got drafted and Zavada's on his way. So, you got any? What are your hobbies outside of football?
I'm a big golf guy. I love golf. In the summer, especially, get done with those lifts in the morning. You got the rest of the day off. Go hang out with your boys. Keeps the mobility up. It's not too taxing on the body. You get to be outside. Summer in Michigan's beautiful. Coming from Austin where it's 105 degrees by noon, I take advantage of when it's 80 in the middle of July. So, I'd say golf is probably the biggest one, but then honestly, just hanging out with the guys wherever that takes you.
Who are the boys?
Around people.
I played in the your guys' event at this summer with Coach Moore, and so I saw you hit. I was on the tee box when you hit. I think Crippen hit as well.
Yep.
I'm sure you guys, when you connect, it goes a very long way. That's good.
Well, you said playing with the boys. Who are the boys you golf with? Like who?
Jay Guarnera is somebody that I golf with pretty consistently. Brady Prescorn I would go with. Who else would I go with? I'm trying to think. It's been a little while since we've gone out. Deacon Tonielli, and Zeke Berry were kind of the 4 guys that I was, around the golf course with. Yeah, Zeke.
Nice.
Zeke. We got Zeke into it a little bit this summer. He got real into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's funny. Have you played with Davis Warren at all?
I haven't. Well, so we both golfed in Golf on Main, the event for the Woodson Fun, through Mott, but I didn't play directly with him. Yeah.
He's the talk of our club because he came in.
Well,
yeah.
All right, I'm not that good. he takes the crown on that.
Well, I would suggest
not many people are as good.
Not many humans are as good as he at golf. I mean, it's a tough sport, and I've seen him swing, and he plays out. He'll come out to Travis Point where I'm a member, and you guys have been down there, and I know he's met our pro and kind of hung out, and he's got a great game. So good on him.
Well, other than golf, though, just curious, what else? Like, I know football can be all-consuming, but what are some of the other things? You mentioned hanging out in golf, but when you can take a break from football, is there like a podcast or a series or a show? Like, how do you turn your mind off of sports?
That's fair. So honestly, I'll end up playing video games with my boys from back home. Just whatever it is, anytime any kind of, story mode game that we get into, just whatever's kind of trending at the time. But then, I love a good Marvel movie. I've watched pretty much all of them 3 or 4 times through. And then Friends, the series. I can start from any point in that show and know what's going on. So, I think those are kind of things that I like to do. But, when you get away from football, it's not usually physically taxing stuff that I'm choosing to do.
I'm gonna back you up on Friends. Like at first I thought, oh, what's the hype of the show? And then, wife would put it on. And then there's something about it that like you can like turn your brain off. It's a little bit like Seinfeld, where just like then you start to get why people like it, because it's just like the stakes are super low. Like you don't really have to be invested. You don't have to know who the character. It's just like it's easy.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
There's the little stories with every one of them, but you can dive in at season 6 having not watched anything and be, enjoying it.
Yeah.
Nice. You got have you been bestowed a nickname yet?
Frage is kind of the nick. B Frage.
Frage.
Yeah, that's kind of the nickname I get called through the facility. Sevens and more of a joking manner will come up every once in a while. But yeah, those are a couple I've been given.
How about favorite memory so far at Michigan?
I'd say my favorite memory so far would probably be my first offensive snap. It was against New Mexico. It was that the goal line run with Justice, the last touchdown of the game. Came in, Sprague was cramping, went in at right tackle, and we scored that play. So I think that was kind of, having not played my freshman year, dealing with injuries, going through the rehab process and coming back and having my first offensive snap be a touchdown was pretty cool. It was a really rewarding feeling.
You got a dream NIL deal? If you could get an NIL deal, who you hoping to represent?
I mean, honestly, like, that's tough, to be honest. I mean, you got to say like Nike or something like that as an athlete, but then also, personally, TaylorMade would be a huge one for me. I don't know how much it would make sense being a football player, but
you just want free golf stuff, right? Yeah.
I mean, golf is so expensive, so anything you can get off with that is a win.
It's cool how and maybe we just haven't like been tuned in, but I'm surprised at how many guys on the team golf.
Oh, there's a bunch.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, it's one of those things that it's not physically taxing. You get to get out, be outside, be out in nice weather. Stay limber, but you're not taxing your body too much, hanging out with the guys.
No one will bug you, really. Like,
exactly.
It's not like anyone can bug you guys because you're out in the course. Yeah. Yeah. No.
And when you're 21 or older, they have a cart girl actually bring you. Beverages.
There you go. I haven't gotten to experience that yet, but I've seen
you've heard about
people
it.
Enjoy that. Yeah.
No, it's I know I do. So
we may not represent the average fan or any fan, but use us as their proxy. If you could ask Michigan fans one question, what would you? And we'll answer it on their behalf. What would you ask them?
I would say, what's y'all's favorite like game day tradition?
Other than the egg beer. Yeah.
Other than the egg beer. Just like a tradition that I would say is kind of run by the university that happens every game.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I got mine. Yeah, yours.
I got 2 that I can think of.
I like the video, the James Earl Jones video is number 1. And then Touching the Banner is number 2. Touching the Banner is number 2. Never gets old. I think we were doing the math. I think I've been to around 145 home games. And it's the same every time.
The anticipation, when you people and I
get so scared I'm going to miss the banner. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I get so scared I'm going to miss the banner. It's like my biggest fear in the world.
Well, I always watch it because I want to see, because you can tell who's dressed but probably not, but questionable when they don't jump. They kind of like they're in trouble. Like, okay, he's not playing today.
I like watching the coach. I like watching the coaches. See who still got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, that's great. I like on the non. I guess I don't know if these are university things. I guess you'd call them that, but they're not. Like Mr. Brightside, even though it's getting a little old, it's still like everybody sings it. They time it just perfectly so that the a cappella thing kicks in, and then of course the Frisbee dog is critical.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, no, the one I don't like that they should get rid of because they can never do it correctly is when they send some kid out there to catch 3 punts. That jugs machine fails.
Yeah, they mess that up every time. It seems
they
like.
mess it like they kick one 10 yards and the kid's way back, and then they move up and then they kick. So it's
a conspiracy. Meyer's in on it. They're just saving money. They're just Meyer's in on it. I will say, Blake, one thing that like is a tradition that I would love to see come back. We still do the wave, but the wave now is a very conventional wave. It'll start, it'll go around, and then it'll kind of peter out. But in the old days, it had some action. So it would go around normal,
reverse it,
and then they would speed it up, and you do the fast wave. Then they would slow mo it down, and you do a slow motion wave. Then they would get crossing waves. It was a whole thing, and their student section would kind of run it, and there were signals, and maybe the kids are too busy now, but that was awesome back in the day.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Now that we're warmed up, we're going to jump into a little bit about your background and bring it to current thing. So now coming out of high school, obviously there's a ton of rating agencies and they never seem to agree, but we're going to say, you were a top 200 national player, had offers from a ton of schools. I think your top 5, I thought, was Michigan, Texas, Clemson, Florida, and LSU. So, obviously some big names there. Without revealing any names, any good recruiting stories to share? Wild visits, like just strange visits.
I don't know if I have any crazy stories. Like there wasn't really any. I didn't have a single story. A single visit that was like kind of like a turnoff visit, if that makes sense. I didn't have something that happened that was like, oh, I'm definitely not coming here. I think the coolest thing from those visits was getting to meet these other guys that are in my class and still keep a relationship with them now that they're out and about. Like Casey Poe, who goes to Alabama and plays at center guard. You've got just guys like DJ Lagway. I went on a visit to Florida. He was committed at the time. Seeing him ball out there, like it just, I think keeping those, relationship, Michael Looney at Georgia, I think those were the coolest things. We're getting to hang out with those guys. And, even though maybe we didn't end up at the same school, like still have developed a relationship because we were going through the same thing that not a lot of people can relate to. Because whether, people want to admit it or not, like when you're getting contacted by every school in the country as a 16-year-old kid, it can kind of feel overwhelming. And, there's not a lot of people that can understand what that feels like. So you found a way to kind of confide in each other.
Was having your dad, be, a college player, did he help you? I know it's obviously times are very different now, but did he coach you through how to handle all that? Because to your point, you're 16-year-old, your phone's blowing up. Did he like say, hey man, turn your phone off after 8:00? Or were there any things that he helped you, just manage through that?
Yeah. I don't think there was anything specific from his recruiting process that really helped me just because it was so different. Like you had a home line that they'd call, and if you weren't there, you didn't answer. And they'd send the letters and like all these things, but you didn't know who else was committed in your class until you showed up on campus. But I think, my family, my whole life, I had, left my phone downstairs when I went to bed. That was a rule in our house. And I think that was great. I turned my phone off when I was in school. Now, when, coaches would come to the school to visit, that was a different story. I couldn't really get out of that one. But I think that both of my parents were super helpful, super supportive. And, my mom being in business, knows how to handle, a little bit of the kiss ass type, relationships, which is what recruiting is, as much as you want to think that you're this, big bad guy as the junior in high school. I was 240 pounds, maybe, I'm not a starting tackle at 240 pounds. So, you have to be able to separate, who's telling you what you want to hear and who's, letting you know you're not where you need to be, but we can get you there. So I think both of my parents were super helpful in that recruiting process.
And with so many offers, you get, just tell us, you get down to a top 5. Like, what criteria did you use to filter down to a top 5? Were there certain things you were looking for? Location, academics, coaching? Yeah. What were kind of your criteria?
So my criteria in recruiting was, development, who can get me to the league. God willing, I have that chance. Who can get me a degree that's worth something, if and when football's done. And, what's the campus life look like? Like, I'm not talking parties and stuff, but, weather, social life, like student body, like activities going on, clubs, all these different things. So in all honesty, I knew I was committing to Michigan when I posted my top 5. The only reason I posted the top 5 was because I told myself, like, I'm going to go through this process, list the top 5, and then commit. I had a visit in March of 23 that kind of shook everything up, with Jaden Davis, Brady Prescorn, and Jordan Marshall. That kind of sealed the deal for me, but I hadn't posted a top 5. So I posted a top 5 like 2 weeks later and then committed a week after that. So I don't know exactly if I was looking too into all of those factors when I posted about the top 5, but I definitely looked into those factors on every visit that I went to.
What was it about that visit that sealed the deal?
I think it was the fact that we spent, Friday morning to Sunday night there, unofficial. Like, it was the 4 of us. There were no other recruits. Like, it was, the entire coaching staff. It made us all feel like a priority, which, is a good feeling. You want to feel,
that's awesome.
Especially for me, having been a Michigan fan my whole life, I'm thinking, I'm here with 3 of the top 100 recruits in the country in my class, and they're picking me as the 4th to come on this visit. So but I think on top of that, it was how the 4 of us got along. We just clicked. It was like we had known each other for a while, and that was a really cool thing.
That's awesome.
Obviously growing up, your dad star at Michigan, was there ever a time that you seriously thought about going to school other than Michigan?
There wasn't a specific school that I thought of going to, but there was a time where I didn't think I was going to end up at Michigan, and it had nothing to do with Michigan and everything to do with how these recruiting sites portrayed me. And I know it sounds silly, but when everybody's telling you, after you get a Michigan offer, oh, he's going there, that pissed me off, because if there's one thing about me is I hate, when someone tells me what I'm going to do, it drives me nuts. So I think that there was definitely a time where I was like, okay, you think I'm going to Michigan, watch this. But at the end of the day, God had other plans, and I ended up where I'm supposed to be. So
awesome.
Perfect. Yeah, our to our good fortune. So that's awesome.
And it's super cool because you got here. Obviously, you got a chance to enroll early, attend the practice for the Rose Bowl, right?
Yes.
And
yeah.
Went up against guys like Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. How'd that go?
Well. It was a wake up call for sure. I knew that at that point in time I was not ready to compete at the college level, but that was like a big reassurance in that known fact for me. So
your scout team,
yeah, and all of those guys that had been on scout team all year were super excited to have fresh chops out there to throw out to the wolves.
Well, you touched on it earlier, and you just mentioned it again. I mean, you were pretty light coming out of high school. In fact,
Yeah.
I remember Dan and I were at a basketball game, and you were throwing out T-shirts. You and Bryce,
Yep.
were throwing T-shirts at Chrysler, and Dan and I are talking to each other, going, "That dude looks like a tight end."
Yeah.
Because you were like,
I meant it in a good way. I meant it like
No,
like Taylor Lewan, like
no,
But even at that time, because that was what, January
of 2020. Yeah, January. Yep,
January. It was January of this year. So even at that point, I was probably 275 pounds. Like I still wasn't. Yeah, so I still wasn't where I am now.
Yeah. So a lot of people have trouble losing weight. Their goal is to lose weight. Your gain obviously was to gain weight. What was your approach? What program did they put you on to do that between like either Tress or Abigail? I mean, what were the key things for you other than maybe just eating a lot of pizza?
They put me on, and I still to this day am on the seafood eat food diet. Like I don't have an off limits item. Like there's nothing I can't eat. So my big thing is I'm not a big appetite guy. Like I can't sit down and eat 2 waffles, a 6-egg omelet, 2 hash browns. Like I'm not gonna be that guy. So where I've struggled and had to adapt was I have to eat more often, and a lot of my calories come in liquid form. I've got the Ensures that they give to like elderly people when they can't eat. Like I pound those as snacks. I drank probably 2,000 to 3,000 calorie milkshakes with breakfast or dinner. So those have been things that I've had to adapt to, because I struggle with gaining weight. I lose 12 to 15 pounds in a practice. So hydration being a big part of it as well.
Wow.
But Abigail and Tress both have been absolutely amazing with working with me through that. And they set us up for success.
That's awesome. 12 to 15 pounds per practice. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously, your first year, it sounds like not only were you're trying to gain some weight, you battled some injuries. How hard was it to, freshman, and I don't know what your expectations were. You probably thought, okay, I'm going to redshirt anyway. But I mean, how hard was it to not see any game action your freshman year?
It sucked. I definitely. I knew I was going to redshirt. Being a lighter guy, I wasn't going to play more than 4 games. But there was a point in time where, I was pushing the 2 deep, and I was pushing to be that extra offensive lineman in our jumbo sets. And when I ended up getting hurt, it was kind of like felt like I was right there and kind of got, cut short of my opportunity. So it wasn't fun. And, I didn't expect to see a whole lot of game action, but knowing for certain that I wasn't going to see any game action was something that was difficult to deal with. But I also think that it drove me, a lot harder during my rehab process was, knowing that I was right there and knowing that I can, and, making sure that I was doing everything I could to put myself in the position, to take advantage of that opportunity when I get it in the future.
Did you have to fight anyone off for number 77?
I didn't actually. No, with Trevor Keegan leaving, and me coming in, nobody else in my class wore it in high school. So it was, I don't want to say it was handed to me. But I didn't, there wasn't any, competition for it, I would say.
At the quiz at the end of this episode, there may be a question about that number. So just I'm foreshadowing, but with the benefit of hindsight, when you look back on your freshman year, what's the kind of the biggest lesson learned, for you, either as a player or as a person, given that experience?
You said my freshman year?
Yeah.
I'd say consistency. Rehab is a difficult thing, and especially with something as serious as a knee, where it's 6 to 8 months. You have to be the same person every day, because if you take a day off, you're pushing back that return to play date every time you do take a day off. So that was something that I had to learn, was in the midst of figuring out how to be a student at the University of Michigan, as well as not having that outlet in football. finding a way to be the same person even on days that I didn't feel like the same person was something that I think helped me a lot, and is something that I carry now.
What were some of your goals heading into year 2?
Start at the end of the day. That was see the field, but start. Going into camp, I wasn't 100% going into camp, but by the end of camp I was, and I knew that I was going to have a chance to push for it. You know, Babs unfortunately got hurt, but he's going to be a hell of a player. Link is a hell of a player, so I knew I had my work cut out for me, but I also knew that I had the capability to do so. So that was my goal, and my mindset was just do everything I can to prove to the coaches that I'm healthy now and I'm ready to play.
Given your experience last year, it could be similar to what Babs is. And again, for those following along, don't know Babs, it's Andrew Babalola, highly recruited offensive lineman, out for the season with an injury. I mean, have you talked to him and given your, at least your perspective on how to do it, or has he, asked you?
I really haven't had, he hasn't asked for any advice, but I really haven't really given him any. The day before he went to surgery, I shot him a message and just said, I know this sucks, but you're gonna come out better. But I mean, he's attacking it like there's no tomorrow. I mean, he's in there every day as early as the training room's open, while still going to class, and probably has the highest GPA on the team. The dude's smarter than any of us. So he really is one of those guys that you don't question how much it means to him. He's here to work, and he's ready to be back on that field. As bad as anybody else is.
You came in against Washington, obviously, when Evan went down, and you left the game second highest run blocking PFF and the team's best pass blocking PFF. Obviously, you were ready. You were ready to step in. Tell us about the Washington game. What was going through your head?
It was honestly, when I saw Evan went down, it was less of a an oh shoot moment, like I'm about to get to play, and it was more of a genuine worry for him. Yeah. Evan's one of my closest friends on the team. I love that guy, and I hated seeing him go down. We end up on the ground as offensive linemen sometime, but when you stay down, it's never something you want to see. Yeah. As far as playing goes, I had prepared every week this season like I was going to start. Being the backup for both tackles, I never knew when that opportunity was going to present itself, so I knew I needed to be ready. So there wasn't any I wouldn't say there was any additional nerves to it. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit, finally getting a shot of being, that guy out there, but there wasn't any, uncertainty to, my confidence and my ability to go play.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned nerves. I mean, you follow that game up with your first start in East Lansing, hostile environment to say the least. Any additional nerves there, or?
No, honestly, I was so excited for that game. I can't even say that I had nerves. Like I have such a genuine hatred for that program. Like I really do. I won't, on air say anything bad about them, but I don't like them. That's how I was raised. So going into that game, there was no nerves. It was just excitement to, get to finally put my hands on them and, move them. So.
I think we saw a few times.
You did, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we saw a few times when you were on top of some guys, and I'm sure you were just wishing them luck or happy holidays. I'm sure it was all pleasantries at that time, stuff that we probably can't say on the air, but it looked darn good. I mean, the week before, was your preparation for that game different because you knew you were the start? Like the week you were running with, you were getting a lot of snaps in practice, I assume, more than you would normally do.
Yeah. I had more snaps. Obviously, they try to give the projected starters, more of what we expect to see on game day. But as far as my preparation outside of practice goes, nothing changed. I was watching the same amount of film. I was, taking the same amount of notes, and it wasn't wasn't like a lack of preparation. It was just I had been preparing like that the whole season. That was just what I've been doing, and it's something that I'm a big routine guy. So if I get out of that, then I tend to fall off track a little bit, in whatever form that may look like. But yeah, I just stuck to what I knew was working, and that's what I did.
A lot of stuff went to the left that game. I think all 3 touchdown runs went left. Was that by design?
I don't know, to be honest. I just run the plays that Coach Lindsey calls.
Man, it was awesome. And
speaking of going left, I think Marshall's fourth quarter big run went left to kind of get another first down.
Yeah.
So that seems to be. Yeah, there's a guy out left, 77.
Speaking of practicing, did you have to practice the Paul Bunyan pose, or had you done it enough in the shower? Like, how was it leading up to the game?
Yeah, the first time I actually ever hit it was Bryce's run in that game. I've never done that pose, so we got to do it as an offensive line after the game with the trophy, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
Dan mentioned earlier. I mean, all the paid sites that talk about Michigan football use the PFF, the Pro Football Focus grades. I'm just curious. I think you guys have your own grading system. I mean, they were saying, again, you had a best pass blocking grade of offensive lineman in your first game against Washington. I mean, did you feel that way as well? I mean, that you had a really good pass block. I mean, just curious how you guys view the PFFs relative to maybe the internal rating system.
I don't go searching for it. I see it, but I don't go looking for it. Because at the end of the day, they're grading on, some rubric that they have written out. And at the end of the day, our coaches are grading us on our offensive scheme. So if I'm not doing something right in the eyes of our offensive scheme, that's what I need to be focused on. I don't need to be focused on, what somebody that isn't in our building has to say about how I'm playing. So there's obviously, God forbid there is a play that it's brutally honest that I messed up. Like, yeah, it's going to be rated poorly by both PFF and my coaches. But, there may be something that PFF sees that's like, what the hell is he doing? That my coach is like, great job, because, PFF doesn't know what's going on in the scheme that we're running.
That's a good point.
So, yeah, I don't pay a lot of attention to the noise outside of our coaches.
Yep.
Yeah. So the team has a saying, and I think they've had it a few years now, team over me. And we've talked to guys and got a sense for, how that culture shows up inside of Schembechler. To you, like, what are some ways that, like, you bring the team over me sort of culture and mentality to the team?
I think it's just, like, one of my biggest things is, on top of team over me, we say strain.
Strain?
And strain is a big thing, especially in the offensive line room. When you feel like you're going to fall off a block, like, strain that little bit, keep your hands on them, keep your feet moving, because you never know when that, extra half second's going to spring, Jordan or Justice to the end zone. So one of my biggest things when it comes to stuff like that is always, I'm going to feel fine in 15 minutes. So, like, when we get on that 15, 16, 17 play drive where, we're dog tired, like, I don't know exactly how many runs in a row we ran on that last drive yesterday, but, we were all exhausted. But at the end of the day, Crip and I on that last run that Jordan burst out, we're driving our feet and we're finishing. And although, maybe our blocks weren't picture perfect, I like to think that us moving our feet those extra 2 seconds are what springs them out. So I think it's just having that mentality of, I don't care how I feel right now. I'm going to do everything that I can to help my teammates do what they need to do, because I know they're doing the same for me.
I mean, that was a crazy play. The way you're referring to.
I have no idea how.
I mean, he disappeared. I think it's a great combination of you guys straining and his ability to yards after contact with Jordan. Justice is no slouch either, but Jordan is a hard runner, and he falls forward. I mean, when he falls, so that does get you the extra couple critical yards, and in that case, it got us a touchdown, which was big at that time. So. But yeah, just curious. You mentioned, going back to that play, kind of reminded me of a question. Your first play against New Mexico, you kind of referred to. Is there any other play this season that you look back on and say, that was like really great play? For me personally.
I mean, there's the plays where you physically dominate someone and they feel great. But honestly, my favorite plays personally are ones that I do well in the game that I may have messed up in practice earlier in the week. Running a specific play against a certain look, still being a younger guy, haven't seen all the looks yet. Our Tuesday practice, I might, mess something up. But I've always prided myself on, not making the same mistake twice if it's something that I can control. So some of my favorite plays through the season have been ones that, I did really well in the game that I may have messed up earlier in practice. Or, maybe it's a look that we hadn't seen and I messed up earlier in, the first quarter that I got it right in the third. So I think those are the ones that personally I take a lot of pride in. And those are the ones that I get most excited about seeing on tape.
That's awesome. You shouted out a few folks, obviously Greg Crippen and Babalola, but also Abby and Justin Tress, the strength and conditioning coach. Is there a all-time favorite? I'm sure a lot of people have had an impact on you as a person, as a player, but do you have an all-time favorite story of a coach or staff member that you'd like to share?
I don't know if I have like a specific story, but I can tell you that me and Coach Tress have a little tradition that we started this season.
Oh yeah.
Our Wednesday lifts. Although, I've gotten to a point where I'm comfortable with the weight I'm playing at, there is still opportunity for me to grow and continue to get stronger, obviously. So me and Coach Tress at the end of every Wednesday lift will do an extra, 2 to 3 sets of squats. Some glute drive, but then we made a vow week 1 of this season that every Wednesday after lift in the morning, that regardless what the weather looked like, we were going to go out and do however many yards of sled drags. Oh, wow. So he gets out on the sled and I pull him, until he tells me to stop. But through that, we've had, 1 week I had the night lift and it, the lights shut off at 8:30 and it was cold and raining, and the other day it was freezing. So that's just the kind of relationship that me and Coach Tress have. He pushes me. I like to think that I push him. I'm a pain in his ass sometimes, but
well, quite literally, it sounds like you're pushing him. So he's on the sled and you're pulling it.
He's on the sled and I'm pulling it. Yeah,
easy promise for him to make.
Yeah, he's still got to be out there with me though.
True.
So.
I guess it's just weather. Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. That's awesome.
But
that's hilarious.
Well, obviously, you're still a student athlete, so the word student's in there. Just curious, as we turn to kind of the academic side of your life here, have you decided on a major yet?
I'm in Ross, the business school. So
good for you.
I have not, narrowed down a focus yet, as I'm still in my first year, transferred in. But taking that one day at a time it is a difficult school.
Yeah. Well, and you just mentioned it's difficult. Like, what's the secret to balancing that? I mean, I know you guys have some academic support, but I mean, I don't think people realize how many hours you dedicate to football, practice and games and travel, and then you've got to go to class and make that work. How do you do that?
There's really not a secret to it, to be honest. It's just you have some free time, you do some stuff. Like, that's really what it is. It's been an adjustment though this year, going from a guy that was injured and not playing, and although I was in the meetings for game plan, maybe not as tuned in as I am now, and having more difficult classes. It's been an adjustment for sure, and something I've had to work at. But I mean, that's really what it is. You have your class schedule, your football schedule, so you just try and plan it out. Every Monday I go through and I'm like, okay, I've got this amount of time open this day, this, what do I have to do? When can I fit this into that? Like, it just takes an effort. Is really all it is. And it sucks sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's something that I know I'm going to look back in, 5 to 10 years and be really proud that I did. So I do it to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
You a caffeine guy?
I have become a caffeine guy. I
Nice.
rarely drank caffeine in high school. Then I got introduced to fall camp, and everything changed. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps. That helps too.
yeah,
Dan's a Ross MBA guy.
Awesome.
So,
I didn't get in undergrad. I did econ, but yeah, it's a hard school, and I'm sure you hear like in the hallways of the classroom, people not complaining, but talking about how busy they are, and you're like, you have no idea. I gotta go to East Lansing.
I have to bite my tongue every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, I heard in another interview
Appreciate it.
you had mentioned after football, after your professional career is over, something potentially in the wealth management and managing money. Is that what you want to do after school?
Not particularly. I don't know what I want to do yet. My mom's in management consulting and consulting, so I've heard from her that consulting is a great way to kind of figure out what you do want to do, because there's so many ways you can take it.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't know. I'm using these classes as an opportunity to narrow down what I don't like rather than what I do, because maybe that'll help me in the future. But I'm not sure exactly what I want to do yet. And in all honesty, I'm more focused on learning everything I can from these classes right now, rather than figuring out what it is I do want to do in the future.
That's great.
Well, I would second what your mom's saying. I was, after business school, I went into consulting and then went and did other things, and it is a broadening experience versus a narrowing one. So I think she's right in terms of it opens more doors than it closes. So it's probably a not a bad step. So moms are always right. But this case, yeah, she's definitely right. All right, so we got we're going to finish up here. We got a quiz.
Yeah,
All right.
bring it home.
Oh,
Bring it
boy.
home with the quiz.
Now, again, these are all offensive line related. Okay, so
Okay.
keep that in mind. And I'll start with Dan and I will alternate here. But so, what trophy is the largest trophy by weight in college football?
Oh, in college football?
Yeah. Remember, we're talking offensive line.
Oh, it's the Joe Moore then. Has to
There
be.
you go.
Yeah, because you're including that. I gotcha.
Okay.
I started thinking like rivalry trophy. That's where my mind went.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. But yep, no, that's understandable. Okay, you're 1 for 1.
Follow up on the Joe Moore. Only 2 schools have won it more than once. What are the 2 schools?
It's Michigan.
Yep.
And then I want to say Bama.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. 2 for 2. Which school is the only school to have won the Joe Moore Award in 2 straight years?
Michigan.
Yeah.
3 for 3. See, Dan said this would be a tough quiz, and I said no, he's going to nail it.
We'll see. Started off somewhat light.
That never happened, by the way. I have full faith. What former president of the United States played offensive line at Michigan?
Oh my gosh, my dad's gonna kill me for not knowing this. My dad's such a history buff. I don't know.
Not to be confused with the so you're the truck you're in now.
Yeah.
Like
Henry Ford.
the other
The president.
Ford. Oh, Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford. Yeah. Old,
Yeah, my dad's good. My dad's gonna roll his eyes at that one for sure.
Well, we can always edit that out, maybe. Okay. So since obviously you had a relative play at Michigan, your father.
Yes.
Name 2 other current players on the roster who have had relatives play at Michigan.
Channing Goodwin's dad.
Yeah.
And Nico Andrighetto's brother.
Oh,
yeah.
There's
we even had it on the list.
Yeah, I didn't have
Kendrick
that.
Bell. I had Ronnie.
Yeah.
Was that the other one y'all had?
Well, there's 2 others.
Okay.
One of your
Let's see,
captains.
Rocco Milia.
One of your captains.
One of the cats. Oh, Brady. Brady's brother played.
Right. And then one of the safeties.
One of the safeties.
Younger kid.
Young safety. Red shirt.
I didn't know this actually. I didn't know it until I talked to him.
Uh, let's see. Jacob Oden?
Yep.
Yeah, you crushed this. So, yeah, that's bonus points. Yeah, Jacob
That's
Oden.
bonus points.
Yeah.
I gave
Yeah.
you a couple y'all didn't know.
Yeah, no, I
you gave us
didn't know
two.
about
I
Andrew
didn't
Getto.
know
Yeah.
Amelia or
Yeah.
Andrew Getto.
That's awesome.
I may have merged the Andrew Gettos together and just thought he was like an 8th year senior.
True. Yeah, no, it's Lucas and Nico.
Nice.
Nice. Okay.
Last one. So we mentioned 77.
Yeah.
Can you name? Well, I know you can name one, but so maybe give us two other famous 77s.
I mean, you got Jake Long, Taylor Lewan, John Jansen. You got Keegs. I'm trying to think of like the old ones.
You nailed our list.
We were keeping it in the 1990s and
I did want to ask you, with the 77, did you have the tattoo sleeve before or after? Because it seems to be Jake Long had a big one.
I did not have any tattoos coming into college.
Yeah. Something about the 77. It does look good.
I guess so. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Cool.
It's a hell of a good legacy. Both a lot of great 77s. I mean, I look at Jake Long. I mean, #1 draft pick. All pro, 2-time All-American. Taylor Lewan was like the 11th overall draft pick. Yep. I think when he signed his contract extension, he was like the highest paid offensive lineman in history at the time. And then of course Jansen. He had 50 straight starts, which is like incredible.
That's cool.
National champ. So, hey, good stuff. Hey, we really appreciate you spending time with us on a Sunday after we're recording this after the Purdue game. So you had a late night last night, and it was a rock fight. It was tough. You guys got it out.
That's how we like them.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of rushing yards in that game. And for folks, if you haven't seen the game, go back and watch it because a lot of them were to the left. So, hey, really appreciate your time, Blake. Thanks.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all. This was fun.
Good luck and go blue.
Go blue.
Absolutely. Go blue, y'all.
Bye, buddy.